My brothers and my sisters, Acts the 13th chapter, and just a few verses there. For David, after he had served his own generation, by the will of God, fell on sleep and was laid unto his fathers, and saw corruption. But he whom God raised again saw no corruption. My brothers and my sisters, I want to talk to you from this subject. We stand upon the shoulders of gentle giants. We stand upon the shoulders of gentle giants. Don't fool yourself into thinking, as you stand as grown men and women, that you do not stand on the shoulders of them that came before. If it was not for them, we would not be where we are today. I know the common belief of today is that a lot of folk got to where they are by their own self. But I'm here to tell you that everybody got some help along the way. And I just stopped by this morning to say, don't forget from whence you came. Because it was that what shaped you into who you are today. My brothers and my sisters, I said I wasn't going to be before you long. Many of our foreparents went through life with their heads down, but their spirits raised up. They would oftentimes act like they didn't have no sense around white folk, just to keep white folk from beating on them in days past. They oftentimes would act a certain way and do a certain thing in order to get something so that their children could have something. Oftentimes they would swallow their pride and put aside their dreams, because they knew that if they got too haughty, that sooner or later somebody would come in the middle of the night knocking on their door. And so the times dictated that they had to walk around with their heads hung low. And yet they kept the race alive. They kept raising their children and teaching their children to teach their children to teach their children that after a while there is a brighter day. And when that day came, folks stopped looking down and raised their head up high. When Dr. King said, I have a dream, many of us rose up and said, I have a dream too. When you turned on the radio and you heard James Brown talk about say it loud, so many of us stood up and said, I'm black and we stand upon the shoulders of gentle giants. The same shoulders that bore the weight of this country. The same shoulders that helped to pick the tobacco and the cotton in the field. That helped to build the railroad from one end of this nation to the other. We stand upon the shoulders of gentle giants, many of whose names have been lost to history. But if they didn't do what they did back then, we wouldn't be where we are today. That if they had not supported the cause of civil rights, then when Dr. King stood and said, I have a dream, he would have been looking out on nobody. Countless names that have been lost to history and yet are written somewhere in the Lamb's book of life. So many of those whom we will never know, but that we'll meet on the other show. And well, when I see so many of our young folk that ain't paying no attention to what's going on around them. When I see so many of our young folk that's got the stereo turned up and the world tuned out, I don't worry and I don't fret, because I know that the Lord will raise them up a generation that'll serve this present age. He'll raise up a generation that'll serve His holy name. Yeah, yeah, my brothers and sisters. Yeah, we stand on the shoulders of them that did what they could do just to keep our race alive. And it's up to you and I to carry on this same tradition, fighting for our equal right, until someday we won't have to fight no more. Someday, right here in 2011, God is no short of His promise, for He sent His Son to die for you and I. And when He went down in that grave, God stayed true to His promise. And 3 days later, yeah, 3 days later, He rose Him up out of that grave. And somebody here might be asking the question, how